for this week, and then we'll get started with talking about the information you need for this week's lab. So this week in lab, you are going to be doing experiment 2, which we'll talk about here in a little bit what that involves. And that's the computational modeling experiment. You're also going to split the time with collecting melting point ranges for your experiment 1 unknown. So if you haven't come into Open Lab to do that, then we will take care of that during lab as well. So we'll give you, each lab section kind of has individual instructions for how to split the time. So we'll let you know how we're going to do that in lab. But just know that that's what you're going to be doing in lab this week. You'll take the second quiz this week, so that'll be over experiment 2. And then another thing to keep in mind is on Friday, the lab closes at 1:30 because of the president's inauguration, the whole college president's inauguration, to be specific. And so we all the faculty have to be dressed up at the chapel at 2 o'clock. So lab is closing at 1:30 this Friday. So that also means there's no chemistry or biology seminars on Friday as well, because we all have to be over at the chapel for the inauguration. Okay. Next week, you want to come to lab with the IDs of your experiment 1 unknowns, like know those when you come to lab. So if you don't complete melting point information and getting all your melting point ranges this week, you should plan on doing that over the week in Open Lab so that you come to lab next week with your unknowns figured out. All right. We will be looking at the report for experiment 1 next week, and we'll also be doing the first half of experiment 3 next week. So we'll do part 1 of experiment 3. What that means as far as the pre-lab is for next week's lab, you want all of the pre-lab for experiment 3 completed in your notebook before you come to lab next week. So kind of your homework assignment, part of your homework assignment for this week. The other thing is next week, your experiment 2 worksheets are due, which you will pretty much complete mostly in lab this week. So your second homework assignment is completing the worksheets that you'll work on in lab this week. So have your pre-lab, have your worksheets done for next week, and you should know the identities of your unknowns. Okay, so this week for experiment 2,